Hey, Rainbow here, and welcome to my channel. How are you doing? How is everybody doing today? And I want to thank you for even clicking on this. That is actually very much appreciated. So we all have a tendency, like you are right now, to watch YouTube. I watch a bunch of different YouTube channels because I get different things from them. But when it comes time for the stuff about motorcycles, there's about 10 or so that I really watch, and I'm going to explain which ones I watch and what I think they bring to the table and why I actually watch these channels. Now, I am subscribed to a lot more than what I'm going to talk about, and I watch a lot more motorcycle than that, but one of the things that I think is important is that we watch things that are quality that we're going to gain good information from, and I'm hoping that you get good information from my channel. All right, I'm just an experienced rider, but I'm not a great rider. You know what I mean? I'm competent, but I watch some of these people and I'm like, wow, these guys are really, really good. Now, when I go over the channels that I watch, I'm not talking about channels that are specific to brands like Ducati, Yamaha, Suzuki. And of course, we like to watch occasionally those accidents, but I can only take so much of it, whether it's on Moto Stars or Dirt Bike Lunatic, stuff like that. I'm not even talking about those. And of course, we probably all watch MotoGP, World SBK, Moto America, and some of those I watch, and some of them I don't really have to because I have a subscription to Moto America, and I have a, oh no, I don't. I have a subscription to World SBK, and I have a subscription to MotoGP, so I get to see a lot of their stuff early on. But let's talk about the meat and the potatoes of what I think are some really good channels and why. Now, this is not all inclusive, and this isn't like a top 10, but these are the 10 that kind of popped into my head first that I like to watch, and there's always something that I get from them. So all of these that I'm going to, I guess you could say recommend, are ones that I believe that I get value from, just like I hope you get value from this channel, all right? So let me get on the computer and let's talk about some of the things that we can find on YouTube specific to motorcycles and some really great channels. Let's go. These aren't in any particular order, so let's start off with the first one that you can obviously see, Motojitsu. All right, Greg from Motojitsu. I like to watch Greg, not just because I have some Semper Fidelis, which is always faithful, and we're both Marine Corps veterans, okay? But he goes over a lot of riding techniques, and he comes up with a lot of really important tips, no matter how small or how big you think those tips are. He has some really great tips. And he'll do stuff on the bike, he'll do stuff even off the bike. He explains things really well, and he has a lot of experience. And one of the biggest things about Motojitsu is that he's always pushing for people to improve themselves. Just like myself, 48 years ago was when I first started riding a motorcycle. Okay, 48 years ago, and I still go to parking lots. And you know what? Greg really pushes going to parking lots and just practicing and practicing and practicing to get better, because you're not good on a bike until you're good and slow on a bike. I guess that's the best way to put it. But anyway, Motojitsu is one of the really great YouTube channels I like to watch. Here's the next one, and this guy really kind of transformed himself somewhat. It would be Dan the Fireman, okay? Started off doing a lot of instruction and stuff, but really he does a lot of evaluations, and he goes over a lot of videos, whether he gets them from Moto Stars or wherever he gets them from. He reviews these incidents, but this is what there's two things that I really like about Dan. Number one, he's honest. If he sees a video where someone's doing something stupid, he calls them out. He's not afraid to do that. He's not afraid, oh, for, let's call it YouTube political purposes, that people are pissed that he's calling them out. He doesn't care. He calls people out and says, you know what, this is a bad rider. You didn't do what you're supposed to. You put yourself in a situation, or he'll tell you that this is a non-issue. I love the fact that he's really honest about all of this stuff, because that's what's going to be helpful when someone, you know, watches one of your videos and you perceive it one way, and then someone else like Dan, who has experience and training and knows what he's talking about, and he calls you out on it, and then you see in the comments that people are also calling you out on it. If that helps you to understand that you were wrong and you change the way you ride, it's just going to make you safer, and it's going to help out the whole community. The second thing that I really like about Dan is that he really pushes the first aid component. And I'm going to tell you something that maybe not everyone knows about me, okay? First, I was a first responder. I became an EMT. Then I became a paramedic, and I worked in the system for years. I actually started teaching at a paramedic college. And then I worked my way to where I became a critical care flight paramedic on a trauma helicopter. So I have a lot of experience on these accident scenes. Lots of motorcycle scenes, a lot of motor vehicle accidents. I've worked in emergency rooms. I've worked in trauma centers. I have done a lot, and I have a lot of experience. So to have someone like Dan who's out there going over first aid, pushing, and giving you the availability to buy these kits, that makes me a bit of a fanboy. So I really like the fact that he's honest and he really pushes first aid. That is just super important, and I know that firsthand because I have a lot of experience in that. Next one is going to be Bike World. Bike World is really well put together. The post-production is awesome, and they have really, probably Chris is my favorite rider there because he has a lot of experience. He really puts the bikes through the paces, so you really get to see how these bikes react when they're pushed. So Bike World I really like, especially with a guy like Chris there, and the post-production, because it makes it entertaining to watch. Next one, and again, these aren't in any particular order, would be MotoGeo. Once again, great production, and he's fun to watch because he's a great rider. He's always on different bikes. You get a different aspect of things. You get a bit of a story with it, and that's what makes MotoGeo nice, is because you're seeing him basically enjoying riding the bike, and you're hearing some of the good parts and the pitfalls of the different bikes. But MotoGeo is certainly a great one to watch. Here's another one that's very popular. It's not necessarily about reviewing motorcycles or anything, but if you just want to get transported to another place and just enjoy really the story and watch things unfold, itchyboots. She is very entertaining. I love her presentation. She takes the time to stop and get drone footage. She puts time and effort into her post-production. It's obviously that all of her videos are planned out. And she's going and riding in all of these different countries and interacting with people. So it's nice because, you know, it's almost like I'm jealous that I'm not her. Like, I would love to be riding along with her. And I think probably most of us would. And so I found that itchyboots seems to be a really good channel to watch. Here's one that I don't know how popular it is, but Mike on Bikes. Mike on Bikes, this guy is very educational. He really breaks things down. He doesn't have really long videos. He's not long-winded like I am. Yes, I know I'm long-winded. But Mike on Bikes really takes the time to go through and educate you on every aspect of whatever subject he chose, and he picks some really good subjects. So Mike on Bikes, as far as educational, great channel to watch. The only complaint I have is he doesn't put out enough content. But when he does, I'm like, oh, when's the next one coming out? Next one, no surprise here. We all knew him for a while, and then he went out and had created his own channel, which has absolutely exploded. And to me, this is like Mr. Adventure Rider. Bret Ducati. Don't ask me how you properly pronounce his last name. I'm going to call it Ducati or Cax or Cax, or forget the T. I don't know. But Bret Ducati, to me, he is like the man when it comes time for adventure bikes. Whatever size bike, he can really back up everything he says with all of his experience. He's a teacher. He is really a leader in the industry, He's someone who rides very, what's the word I'm going to put? He's a very smart rider. He's a very safe rider. He wears the right equipment. And honestly, I aspire to be able to ride and have half of the skills that this guy has with the larger bikes like I have. I have a Multistrada V4S, and I could not handle this bike off-road like he does with all the weight. This guy is fantastic. He gives great explanations. He knows what he's talking about, and he covers some really good subjects, I guess is the best way to put it. Dave Moss Tuning. Love Dave Moss Tuning because every time I watch it, I learn something new. Sometimes for a while I was watching it and I was like, okay, I'm hearing the same thing over and over, but it's really not the case, because if you keep watching his videos on YouTube, which are the free ones, which are kind of partials, you still pick up on a lot, and you learn a lot about your own bike. If you have that kind of a bike, you learn about really the whole setup of the bike, and you get to listen to him go over things. He's got some videos where he actually rips apart the forks and rebuilds them. He talks about tire pressures. So really anything to do with suspension, this guy is fantastic. And I will let you know that I hired Dave Moss and did a remote tuning when I had my Indian Scout bobber. I created a video about that, which I will put in the link above, okay? And I said, okay again, damn you, Jeff. Anyway, Dave Moss Tuning is a really good, it's a really good channel because you get to learn a lot about the suspension. Revzilla is another good one because Revzilla seems to put out a lot of really good content, especially for stuff like now they are doing such things like the Daily Rider. They have a couple series where they'll get Ari and, I'm sorry, I can't forget his name, but I'll get the main. Anyway, so those two guys will go out and do some crazy things together. Ari will, of course, talk a lot about maintenance of the motorcycle and repair. So I really like Revzilla because there's a whole bunch of different things to watch. Now, Revzilla also puts out a lot of stuff that's specific to the different products that they sell. That I can care less about unless I'm really looking and I want to learn something about that particular piece of equipment. But it's a lot of their riding stuff. It's the interaction that they have and a lot of their riding and maintenance videos. So I do like Revzilla. I'm going to finish up with this one because I know this kid. Now I call him a kid because I'm 56 years old, okay? Full Throttle Junkie. You just gotta love him, okay? He knows what he's doing. He's a great rider. He has a lot of experience. He's so much fun. He's full of energy. And we go riding together. We kind of hit it off. We go riding together. We'll meet. I've been over his house. I went to his garage. He lives there's like a farm there. He's got horses and cows and cattle and, you know, you name it, and a great dog there. And he's got a lot of bikes. He's a really good mechanic. And right now, for example, his main focus, he has a KLR 650. He loves that bike. Especially if you're a Kawasaki. He's a big Kawasaki fan, and for a reason, because he loves to customize things. So he keeps customizing his bike. So if you're a KLR guy, you know, and he's a good adventure rider, and he's fun to go riding with because he's just trying to destroy his bike on a regular basis, whether he's trying to just rip his tires off or just wheelie till he collapses his forks and, you know, slingshots himself or mousetraps himself over it. He is just a lot of fun, so I would really recommend Full Throttle Junkie. Anyway, this is Rainbow. Hope you like this. Like and subscribe. Have yourself a great day, and so long.